Paul didn't have an easy job. No church that Paul had founded had given him so much cause for anxiety and suffering as the Corinthian church. We know from the first letter to the Corinthians that immorality was a problem in the church. In another letter to the Corinthians, Paul addressed a very specific case of an erring church member. Now, unfortunately, the church had tolerated this behavior for a time by refusing to deal with it effectively. Paul isn't clear about the crime, but this person needed to be disfellowshipped. Now, this is an important lesson for us today in our congregations. Issues need to be dealt with. As a church organization, we can't just wish problems away, especially if the issue is an illegal crime. Unfortunately, it is a very common belief among Christians that we should just forgive and forget, move on. Isn't that what a church is? A hospital where we all need healing? Yes, we all need healing, but even by worldly standards, issues like stealing or domestic violence or sexual harassment and so much more is illegal and punishable by jail time. So why would the church tolerate these behaviors and not deal with them? Now, there is a difference between remedial discipline and punitive discipline. The punitive type seeks to manage errant behaviors by focusing on punishment after someone breaks a rule, rather than teaching or correcting the behavior. Whereas remedial discipline seeks to remedy, repair, or correct errant behaviors. Ideally, churches should strive towards remedial discipline. Paul's insistence on firmness and severity toward the members seemed to be because of the unrepentant attitude he had. However, because he faced the consequences of his actions, in other words, being disfellowshipped, it led the member to genuine repentance. Because the next thing we hear is Paul advising the Corinthians to restore and reinstate the church member. And here are a few points we can learn about forgiveness from Paul. Number 1, once the member has repented, great tenderness and comfort were shown to him. Number 2, the erring member's name is never mentioned. Paul is considerate in not naming the person so that today, only God knows who that person is. The who becomes irrelevant information. Naming people who have repented of their sin can often just turn into gossip. Number 3, Paul doesn't repeat the man's sin needlessly in order to wound him all over again. When there is genuine repentance, the case needs to be closed and the church member accepted back into the fold. Bringing up a person's sin over and over again once they have repented only serves to shame them. And that is not the method of Christ. Well, thank you for studying with me. I'll see you tomorrow.